So I'm thrilled, Rebecca, that you've agreed to join this morning to record this Q&A. You are, without doubt, one of the most experienced customer experience directors in the UK. You've had a fabulous career to date, and in the new or relatively new role with RICS, and an incredible background. And I'm very grateful to you for joining us and wanted to run through a few questions with you if we may.
Absolutely. Thanks very much for having me. What a lovely introduction.
Pleasure. So one of the things I've observed is that you've reached senior positions in this area, fairly early on in your career. You're very ambitious, very driven, and exceptionally talented. What is it about customer experience in particular that's sort of driven you on to succeed in this area?
I think it's an easy area to feel really passionate about, and passion for me is a key element to any success. If you aren't passionate about what you want to try and achieve, if you don't genuinely believe you can make a difference, then when you have the setbacks along the way, which you inevitably will, when you have the key stakeholders who maybe don't buy into the same vision as you have, it would be really easy to get downhearted and give up. But actually the passion for making a genuine difference to the lives of the individual consumers that we can influence, it really keeps me going. I'm not a doctor saving lives. I was never particularly academic in that way. But what I do know is how incredibly frustrating it can be as an individual customer of an organisation that hasn't got a joined up customer experience. If you spend half an hour on hold trying to get through to an organisation, you've tried their web chat and it's just not working, you finally get through and they say, oh, you've come through to the wrong team, and you get passed around. It can really make your blood pressure rise. It can ruin your whole day. And I know historically there were some organisations that if I had to contact them, I would be thinking, oh, blimey, I better book out half a day for this. This is going to be a real battle. And I think we've all been there. So for me, it's really important that the teams I'm working with understand that they can change someone's day. They can be the best part of somebody's day if they want to be. And they can not only make a difference to individuals, but they can really change how the business and how the brand are perceived by the wider world as well. And for me, that's just made all the difference. It's a natural feeling that I don't have to work particularly hard to sustain. I just love it. And I think that's probably helped open some doors for me.
Well, I can tell it's a natural passion, and it's clearly something that gives you great purpose and joy. Can I ask you a bit about the technology and customer experience? Because, we're seeing lots of changes in this area, including AI. And how important is technology for customer experience? If companies are seeking to improve, how important is that going to be for them?
That's a really good question. And I think I would probably sort of slightly reframe the question, which is how important is it to find the right balance between technology and human interaction? Technology can open so many doors, and it can be a very cost-effective way to deliver to large groups and large audiences. But if you put it in the wrong places, and if you try and move before your whole organisation is ready to move towards that technology, then it can actually cause you far more problems than you might have anticipated. So I think for me, the key is to recognise the power of technology, recognise how important it will be to the changing ecosystems of the businesses we're working with, but also understand that before you make a big change, your customers might not want it, they might not be ready for it, your staff might not want it or be ready for it. So actually doing some foundational work, doing some journey mapping to understand the key elements of the customer journey where your customers are expecting human interactions and where it would make a big difference to them if they lost that human interaction. That's really important. The other side of it is just making sure that all of your systems are going to work together properly, and that any implementation has been really well planned, and that you've kind of thought of all the possible pitfalls, all the things that could go wrong before you push that button, and that you've got people ready and waiting to pick up the pieces in case it does go wrong. The fallout from incorrectly implemented technology can last years and cost businesses so much money. So I think for me, the only piece of advice I would offer anyone looking at embracing AI or chatbots or anything like that is just to really thoroughly understand why you're doing it. Is it because it's what your customers want and you think it would genuinely help you to improve your ROI? You'll get more loyal customers as a result. Or is it because it's what everyone else is doing and you think, hey, that looks fun, let's sort of jump onto that? If you've got all of your foundational CX in place, if the basics are being done right, there's no reason not to invest in technology to try and up it and to try and surprise people positively. But I think I would always say just start with the basics, answer your calls quickly enough, show empathy when you're having conversations with people, and make sure that your employees are happy and satisfied. And once you've got those bits, then technology can make a real difference.
That's a really good insight. Yeah, very much so. Thank you for sharing that. Leading on from that, what do you think will be the priority for leaders in this space over the next few years?
So I think that there are a couple of sort of buzzwords that have been lingering around for a while, things like personalization and automation. And I think those will continue to be priorities. For me, that personalization is really important. We aren't necessarily just being measured against our closest competitors when it comes to customer experience. We're being measured against the best possible experiences that all consumers have anywhere out there. So when they log into Amazon and they've got really easy payment methods, they've got tailored searches that show them the products they're most likely to want to buy, and it's just there on a plate for them. Or on Netflix, then you don't have to think too hard about what to watch next, because they know your habits, they know what sort of things you like, and they recommend what you want next. That's the kind of experience that our consumers are looking for now. They want easy, convenient, intuitive experiences across every single business that they work with. So providing the personalization that they see in other areas is going to be really important, but it doesn't have to be particularly expensive. And I think that's something that's really critical for businesses to understand, is that yes, you can go Amazon and Netflix and you can invest in really busy sort of technical solutions, but you can also achieve some really great personalization just by offering your consumers choice and enabling them to be able to contact you in the way that they find most convenient, by enabling them to fill out feedback surveys in a way that they find most convenient, raising complaints easily, seamlessly, and being able to actually respond to those as a human being. Those are the sorts of things that can make a real difference to how personal the interactions can feel for a business.
You make it sound very, very straightforward, and I know it's reality, but it's phenomenal the positive impact that getting it right can have on the customer.
Absolutely. When something goes wrong, it can be really easy to panic a little bit and think, oh no, we've lost this customer, it's all gone wrong, we failed. Or to go the converse and think, oh, well, it wasn't really our fault, they had unrealistic expectations in the first place, blah, blah, blah. But actually, if you can take exhaustive ownership for any issues that arise, and by that I mean you look at it from every single possible angle and you say, if the customer wasn't involved in this situation, if we were influencing every single part of it, what could we have done to prevent the customer from getting to this point of frustration? Is there anything we could have done, whether it's managing expectations slightly differently up front, whether it's learning from issues that we've seen happening with other people? Then actually studies show that customers who've had something negative happen in their experience, but who've had it positively resolved, end up with far greater loyalty long term than customers who've never had a problem in the first place. So there's everything to play for. And I think it's just about trying to reframe how you see complaints, to reframe how you see those sort of slightly more troublesome customers, to say, well, actually, this is gold dust for us. This is information we can use to positively change what we're doing.
Oh, I just love your attitude. Love your attitude.
Thank you.
Questions more about your career. So what would you say, you might find it hard to sort of pin it down to one, but what would you say has been your most rewarding career experience so far?
So really, it is a tough one. I've done quite a lot of things I've loved. Oh, thank you. That's generous. So I was selected to participate in the first LinkedIn Creator Accelerator program last year, which for me was a real accolade, because it wasn't open to everybody. I think there was 150 people brought onto the first ever program. But it gave me a platform to talk about customer experience, and specifically the importance of diversity, equity, and inclusion in customer experience. So for me, that was a really important journey for me. I met lots of really interesting individuals who are focusing on trying to spread the word about DEI, who are doing lots of different things in loads of different areas, from helping children in the care system all the way through to just trying to make people people more aware of the sorts of disabilities that exist out there. And it was just really nice to have that specific targeted focus. I always try to make sure that any customer journey mapping that we do has diversity, equity and inclusion built into it as a core swim lane. But that's not always easy, because the way that the whole industry is set up, the way that marketing, the way that customer experience is set up, is to generally rely quite heavily on the use of personas. And when you rely on the use of personas, you are essentially catering to the majority, which by definition means that you're not thinking about the minority.
Yes.
So it's a different way of working, and I don't have all the answers, but I am trying to find more answers. So a lot of what I do tends to be a little bit experimental along the lines of, okay, how can we use personas, but how can we make them more meaningful? How can we make sure that any marginalized groups aren't disproportionately impacted? And that project for me really helped to enhance my knowledge, but also to share the focus with other customer experience professionals that DEI is critical to build into everything that we're doing.
Good for you. That is a great achievement. You should be very, very, quite rightly proud of that. And what piece of career advice have you been given that's stayed with you and that you would share with others who are sort of starting out on their career journey?
You know, I think there are two pieces that really stick with me. The first is to be yourself. And that's so difficult in any corporate environment, because you will feel that kind of unspoken pressure to fit the corporate mold and to toe the line and to be the person that they want you to be. But actually, that doesn't lead to happiness. It actually is quite exhausting, constantly trying to alter your natural behaviours to fit in with a particular mould. And so I think for me, it's just, if you go to an interview and you're really super nervous about it, try to relax a bit, because by being yourself, you'll only ever get the jobs that really suit you and that fit you. And actually, if you don't get that job, maybe it's for the best, because they didn't like the person they saw in front of them, and you wouldn't have been happy there in the long run anyway. So I think if you can relax a little bit more at interview stage, you're more likely to find a company that fits your culture, your values, and who you can then bring your own whole self to. And that just leads to far greater creativity, far greater comfort, greater well-being within the workplace, which is all critical for climbing any career ladder. It can be pretty exhausting trying to chase down promotions, and if you add on top of that trying to be someone else while you're doing it, it's just not sustainable long term. And I think the other piece of advice that I would say is that, you know, well-being is critical. There's so much historical pressure to, you know, work late hours, to be seen, to be present, to be ever kind of available on emails. And again, that can really lead to burnout, specifically in the customer service industry, where people are dealing with complaints and really quite challenging situations and sometimes aggressive behaviour. You need to be able to protect your mental well-being above all else, really, and to be in a role that you find is safe, that you feel supported in. So to prioritise those two things, to kind of find that authenticity, but also to keep an eye on your well-being, to get plenty of sleep, to kind of make sure that actually you are spending the right balance of personal and family life, etc. It all helps to achieve that long-term goal of feeling happy, fulfilled, and still having enough energy to do the job.
Those are two fantastic pieces of advice. I think the finding the balance is a tough one. You know, when people have young families and other personal commitments as they're climbing the career ladder, it is hard to juggle. But you're so right, and it's very, very important. I'd echo your first point about try not to be too nervous at interviews. Mm-hmm. Everybody gets nervous, it's a human reaction, but trying to keep it somewhat in check, because otherwise people don't see your natural personality. And you're right,
absolutely.
You can only end up in the right cultural environment if you can be as relaxed and true to yourself. So thank you for those. So finally, I mean, I would imagine there are lots of exciting opportunities for you in the future. Do you have any thoughts at this stage as to, you know, what you might want to do going forward over the next 5-10 years?
Yeah, I mean, I've got big plans. Probably won't surprise you to hear, but I think, you know, there is a sort of two-pronged element for me at the moment, working with our ICS, their customer experience program is still very much in its infancy, so there's an awful lot of work ahead of us to get the right strategy for the organisation, and to really bring the organisation on that journey with us. And that's going to take me into the sort of short-term future, definitely. And then alongside that, with the customer experience consultancy that I own, the goal has always been to positively influence as many businesses as possible with customer experience, and to hopefully change as many consumers' lives as a result of that. We've recently launched a new marketing arm to the business, which combines customer experience, practical sort of steps with marketing expertise to make sure that from the very start of your acquisition, you're building on that customer experience and doing it in a way that's seamless all the way through your journey. So that's kind of the hope, I suppose, is that we'll keep on working with as many businesses as possible through marketing, sales, operations, to really have that spectacularly seamless customer experience, and that hopefully we can start to see a difference from things like the UK customer satisfaction index slowly starting to creep up, to see that, you know, the UK can perhaps become a front runner in customer experience.
I'm quite sure you will continue to have a very positive influence in this area for many years to come, and I genuinely wish you every success. I think you're phenomenally talented. It's been a real privilege to engage with you over the last year or so, and very, very best of luck. And thank you very much for joining today and answering the question.
Thanks so much, Suzie. I've really enjoyed it. I love chatting about CX, so any opportunity.
I can tell. Thanks, Rebecca. Very much appreciated.
Thank you.